10 on the shot clock. Tatum, left-hand dribble to the mid-block. Tatum rises into contact. His shot is good. Timeout, Eric Spoelstra. But the Celtics finally step back, and now they are landing haymakers. It is an 18-2 run. Half court, Tatum spins away from Lowry, draws the double team. Return to Jaylen, deep three, right side. Got it!
They stepping on toes now, man. This grandma's pie was in the oven.
Welcome into Celtics Post-Game Live, presented by our New England Ford dealers and Ford trucks. Eddie House, Amina Smith here with you. And the Celtics with a win against this Miami Heat team, 93-80. They take a 3-2 series lead in the Eastern Conference Finals. And Eddie, this game did not look good to start. Very messy, muddy game for the Celtics. But how did they turn things around?
They took care of the basketball, number one. And the guys started to put the ball in the hole. Jaylen Brown, Jayson, Tatum, they started to put the ball in the hole. Guys follow suit. But I think the guy that really is the unsung hero of this game to me is two guys, okay? It's two guys. Mm-hmm. Al Horford and Derek White. Those guys out there did a lot of things that don't show up on the stat sheet. They had things that did show up on the stat sheet, but for the most part, their stability on the glass defensively, making hustle plays, making the right reads, calming things down when it needs to be calmed down. But the superstars were the superstars today. The stars were the stars, and Celtics got this win. We up 3-2. Bring it back. We're not trying to go back to as much as we'll go back to South Beach after we hoist the trophy. You know what I'm saying?
Let's go back after Finals.
Yeah, you feel me?
And you're right. Derek White and Al Horford definitely kept the Celtics in this game until Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown were able to wake up in that second half. But let's take a look at how it all went down in that third quarter when things turned around. These highlights presented by Shaw's Perfecting the Art of Fresh. At the half, the Celtics were trailing by 5. And then in the third quarter, they outscored the Heat 32-16. Eddie, just what was the key for the Celtics in that third quarter?
Well, we got stops, number one. We didn't turn the ball over, number two. And then offensively, when it was in the balance, one of those things where, okay, our offense versus their set defense. We got paint touches. We got the ball in the paint, then we made the right read. Once we made the right read, guys were able to attack off of that because we were able to get paint touches. We weren't just settling for outside shots, for threes and things like that. Right there, Jaylen Brown, understand he got a smaller guy on him. They say mouse in the house when you got him on the post, but it's the same thing if you're on the wing and you got somebody smaller than you. Just raise up and use your athleticism, your length, and your height to shoot over the top of them. You don't really see them, and you just knock down shots. Jayson Tatum did it, Jaylen Brown did them, and they hunted that mismatch. And when they did, they didn't just settle for three, or they didn't just try to put their head down and run through that guy. What they did was create space, find a place on the floor that they could get to, raise up, and shoot a free throw line jump shot.
The Celtics came out into that third quarter with a different type of intensity and focus. How did that set the tone for the rest of this game?
Well, what it did was again, in the first half, I was talking about them having us on our heels. We put them on their heels, right? We're the better team. We have the better offensive team. We have the better defensive team. So what we have to do is continuously to put them in retreat. We have to be aggressive. We have to be the aggressors and make them retreat. In the first half, they punched us in the mouth. They were a little bit more aggressive than us. They played with more force. But in the second half, it was the total opposite. The Celtics came out with a lot more force. They played with a sense of desperation, but it was controlled desperation. They weren't desperate trying to search shots to try to get anything for themselves. They were taking whatever the defense was giving them, and then at some times they would say, hey, we're going to make you give us this, and they were making the right plays and the right reads. So you look at the totality of this game, ugly first half, right, and a beautiful second half. And that's the thing about this Celtics team is that they can win in multiple ways. Sometimes the game is ugly, it's mucked up, because teams try to muck the game up with the Celtics. They try to muck it up, but still finding ways to win when it's ugly and when it's pretty. I mean, a tough team to beat when you do that.
And it really was a tale of two halves for this Celtics team, specifically for Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Let's take a look at how they fared in that first half versus the second half. And you see Jayson Tatum with just 4 points in the first half and Jaylen Brown with 6. And then you take a look at that second half, they really bumped it up a notch. 18 points for Jayson Tatum in the second half and 19 for Jaylen Brown. He really hit a completely different level. But let's start with Jayson Tatum and finishing with 22 points, 12 rebounds, and 9 assists. Eddie, just what looked different about Jayson Tatum heading into the second half of this game?
I don't think they were forcing anything. Early on, in the first half, they were all forcing and kind of putting a lot of pressure on themselves to be like, hey, we got to get this done. And I know that I'm the guy that has to get it done. They weren't doing that in the second half. They were taking whatever the defense was giving them. If it was a pass at a teammate, they were making a pass. If it was a shot for themselves, it was making a shot. But if it was to be in attack mode, they were in attack. They weren't just trying to attack for the sake of attacking because they're Jayson Tatum or they're Jaylen Brown and they're guys that have to get it done for this team. They were doing it calculated. They were calm with everything that they did, and nothing about what they did in that second half seemed rushed or seemed pressurized. They were calm, cool, and collected. And
Jaylen Brown started out the first half of this game pretty sloppy, 4 turnovers, but ended up with 25 points in tonight's game. How did he redeem himself in the second half?
Well, again, a tale of two halves. You know, you go into halftime and say, we're down a little bit. You know what? I might have been pressing. I might have been trying to do too much. That's not what he did in the second half. Him and Jayson Tatum both, it almost seemed like they talked to each other, or the coaching staff talked to him and said, hey, you guys need to do this, because they both did similar things in the second half. They defended. They took the shots that was given to them. They made plays when they had to make plays. And what's funny about this, look at the guy that's been making the most passes out of this is Jayson Tatum. He is the superstar, the best player on the team, right? But he's the guy that's deferring to other people on his team because he's saying, you know what, I have to do that in order for my guys to feel comfortable. And Jaylen Brown just took over. I mean, it almost seemed like he was unstoppable. Everything that he was throwing up there was going in, whether it went in straight through, where it rattled in, whether it was a layup. But that emphatic dunk that he did was a tone setter, but not only a tone setter, it was almost like a nail in the coffin.
It almost feels like Jaylen Brown saw the tweets at halftime that people were tweeting out about him and those turnovers, and then he was like, okay, I'm going to show y'all something in this second half. But Eddie, now this Celtics team is just one win away from a trip to the NBA Finals. Just what is this team showing you right now, just being this close to making the NBA Finals?
Grit, grind, toughness, resilience. They show that no matter what, you know, they had their back against the wall. They've been able to climb up out of a hole that they dug themselves into. They put themselves in situations that they're not comfortable in, and then they played comfortable because of the way that they have played. It just shows me that this is a team that can win in multiple ways, and it doesn't have to be one way. Some teams win only one way, but they can win ugly. They can win pretty. They can win gritty. They could be down a little bit, playing a little off, playing somebody else's game and be right there, and then turn around and play their own game and end up winning. So it just shows me that one thing is for sure, two things for certain, is that when you are able to win in ways that people don't expect you to win, and then you continuously do that, and then it's other guys that step up, you are a team that really needs to be looked at as, you can win this whole thing. Yeah. Because how do you stop us? How can you stop us if we don't stop ourselves? Yeah, the Celtics really showing you that they have not only mental toughness, but physical toughness out there on the floor as well. All right, let's check in with Abby Chin, who's with Grant Williams after tonight's win.
Grant, you started the third quarter in place of Rob. Was that by design?
No, he was in the bathroom, I think. So I just said, I'm good to go. Throw me in there. And we started off the quarter right, so we made what will fit. And then Rob came back in, and I think 7-minute mark, 6-minute mark. So just there to have his back.
Yeah, you guys scored on 4 straight possessions to open the third, ended up doubling up the Heat. What made the difference there?
Honestly, we were defending most of the night. The biggest thing was our offensive execution. We stopped turning the ball over. We got attempts, and then we just got open looks. We did a great job of penetrating the lane and then kicking out to shooters and offensive rebounding too. So for us, it was just about making sure our offensive execution was there.
What is it like being on the floor when you can see things start clicking for both Jayson and Jaylen?
Yeah, it's amazing to watch. They do a great job of leading us, especially when we need them most. We're asking them to do a lot. They do a great job of defending, but they also do a great job of scoring it for us. So it's tremendous respect and credit deserved, you know?
Grant, you guys talked about responding the correct way when you win. You did that. How do you do that one more time?
First off, we got started off better. We responded in the second half. We played a decent third quarter, solid fourth, but we got started off from all four. Don't give the team any life. The biggest thing for us is just making sure we take care of the ball and keep defending the way we are, being the league's best defense and being a group that commits to that end before we commit to anything else.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
A look at that final score from down in Miami, 93-80, a big Game 5 win for the Celtics and one win away from a trip to the NBA Finals.